Kentucky residents are furious with Senator Mitch McConnell after he rejected a stimulus bill and decided to go on another month-long vacation. That's right. Congress is no longer in session. They're on another vacation until September. As a result, protesters have gathered outside of Mitch McConnell's office with signs that read, and I love this because this is great, Mitch better have my money. I love it because it's clever, because you know the real saying. But also, look, again, I love it because it's clever, but it's also representative of how people are so angry at the failed leadership of Congress, especially now the Republicans in Congress. And I'll explain why. But first, let me get to the Washington Post here that interviewed over a dozen people in Kentucky, including unemployed residents, struggling business owners, and housing and labor rights groups. All of them have expressed needing more aid from Congress, which Mitch McConnell has failed to provide, so that they cannot survive. Now, Jason Bailey, executive director of the left-leaning Kentucky Center for Economic Policy, said this: "We're seeing huge numbers of people needing help. I can't imagine a state that needs additional relief more than Kentucky does." Now, of course, if you read Fox News, right-wing media, the blame for this is squarely on the Democrats. Of course, the Democrats, how dare you not do anything? Mitch McConnell's got a bill, but the Democrats keep rejecting it. It must be their fault, right? And that's, of course, what the political narrative that they're going to spin. And we know that. Now, in reality, Democrats actually did pass a bill back in May called the HEROES Act. Mitch McConnell, before leaving, by the way, blocked an extension of the CARES Act, which provided unemployment benefits of up to $600 a week. Mitch McConnell, of course, says disincentivizes work. Now, that doesn't mean the Republicans didn't do anything. As I mentioned before, they did pass the HEALS Act, which what it is that it's basically a $1 trillion stimulus bill that would have provided a second round of $1,200 stimulus checks, same as the CARES Act. But it also cut unemployment benefits down to $200 a week until instead of $600. And that would have only been temporary. And then it would have made the states transition into a system of where they would pay about 70% of workers' lost wages. So that bill, by the way, provides no money for the post office, no money to the states. It's massively underwhelming. Let's just say that. And it even had pork in it. For example, they set billions aside to construct a new FBI building. Nothing to do with COVID-19. Because, of course, it sucked. So now, again, I go back to what Republicans have been saying about the unemployment benefits, which was one of the major stopping points, as I said. Well, Republicans say, Mitch McConnell himself has said, well, it's a disincentive. That's $600. It's just it's a disincentive of going back to work, and we need to get people back to work. No, we don't. Not right now, at least, because we're in the middle of a COVID spike. It's actually getting worse. We're the country that is leading in both coronavirus cases and deaths. We might want to actually go back, take care of our people, and yes, lockdown, because apparently there is a subsection of our population that does not want to wear masks or do social distancing. So we're going to have to do another lockdown. Like, maybe if we were all on the same page and realized that, hey, masks, social distancing, probably a good thing to do, then we could probably control it. But since we're not all on the same page, I guess we're just going to have to go back into detention until we get it right this time. It's unfortunate, man. Unfortunate. But anyway, there's no evidence that this is a disincentive for work, that $600 benefit. In fact, according to a report in CNBC, a growing body of research has shown no such correlation between boosted unemployment pay and people not returning to work. A Yale report published in July, for example, found that the extra $600 is not the primary reason people are or are not working. Rather, the most important factor in whether people return to work was the availability of jobs. Meaning that if there are jobs, even if people are getting paid more to stay home, if there are jobs, people generally tend to go back to work. So that said, this is reflected in one of the responses, by the way, to Mitch McConnell. While speaking to the Post, Michael Holland, a 59-year-old Kentucky resident who lost his job due to coronavirus, he stated that the $600 benefit has been a lifeline. Quote, there are some people, I'm sure, that are bringing home more than they were making before the pandemic. And really, it's not that large of an amount when you factor in things like benefits, paid leave, health insurance, that kind of stuff. But he says, look, there are also those of us who are making a lot less now on unemployment. What about those who need a job and can't get a job because the coronavirus is coming back? Well, guess what? Mitch McConnell don't care about you. You don't sign his paychecks. No, his donors do. His solution is to open up the country, force companies to open back up by removing financial support to business owners who are not ready to open back up because of the coronavirus. And if you die, you die. That's what it is. Hey, at least if you're dead, we don't have to spend any more money on you. I mean, how many Republicans have went on the record and said almost just that we would rather value corporate profits over people's lives? Maybe not in those exact words, maybe not explicitly, but when they say, hey, man, look, grandma's had a long life and all that, but I think she'd be okay with sacrificing her life for the economy. That's exactly what they mean. You really can't dress it up to be better than what it is, because it's still really bad. And it's not just your grandma either. It's your kids. It's even you. But unfortunately to them, all that matters is politics and donor checks. Coronavirus is very inconvenient for both. It's an inconvenient thing for their re-election strategies. It's also inconvenient to lose your job, your home, and everything else, as millions have. And that sucks. And we want to get people back to work, but we got to beat this virus first. And here's the thing, McConnell and the Republicans are not going to do anything about it. I mean, the nerve of the Senate taking their ball and going home until September is just, I mean, you would think that it's unfathomable, but really, we kind of expected it at this point. And so there's going to be a lot of pain. And I think the Republicans are counting on this in order to try to use this to push their political narrative. Oh, it's the Democrats. They didn't come to an agreement. So this is why 25 to 28 million people are very likely to lose their homes. Look, I don't really care if people, I should say, I don't think that people really care if, what side is to blame for not helping them. All they care about is the help to make sure that they can still have a place to live and still be able to afford food and feed your children and to stay safe from coronavirus. But the way that it looks, it's going to end up being the fault of Republicans who all of their legislation doesn't tackle the important issues and doesn't, give money to the states or anything like that to be able to allow them to fight coronavirus, and doesn't give the workers the support that they need to survive through this. So remember this, when Republicans claim to represent working Americans and their best interests, just remember that.